San Francisco moving further to the left of the city's newly elected district attorney telling the ACLU that he won't prosecute, quote, quality of life crimes. That includes crimes like camping in public, offering or soliciting sex, public urination, and blocking a sidewalk. Let's bring in Steve Hilton, host of The Next Revolution on Fox News. I mean, the quality of life already massively on the decline in San Francisco, and someone gets ushered into office promising to do even less about it. What do you make of that?
It's completely nuts, Melissa. I mean, actually, you could argue the only crimes that you should focus on in San Francisco right now are quality of life crimes, because it's the quality of life that's basically falling off a cliff that is the big problem. It's our national story. The homelessness, the drugs, the used needles on the streets that mean that before you enter a building, you're supposed to check your feet to make sure you're not bringing them into the street. It is just falling apart. And yet this guy gets elected, by the way, through a combination of a very complicated ranked choice voting system and the idea that he appealed to a group of progressives, and by no means a majority in the city, talking about his personal story, which is actually, again, from many people you'd think would be off-putting. He was actually raised by people who were otherwise described as domestic terrorists. And by the way, we talk about going left, and I talk all the time about the loony left on my show, and we make the comparison with Venezuela. This guy, who's just got elected district attorney in San Francisco, literally worked for Hugo Chavez in the past. Yeah, no, and his parents were members of the Weather Underground, and they were imprisoned based on that robbery and murders, and that's where he, that's where he comes from when he says that he decided to seek this job and wanted to reform the criminal justice system. But if you look at what's going on at the time, I mean, when I lived in San Francisco, there was a woman who stood on the corner by the on-ramp to the freeway without a top on every single day, soliciting sex for years. Right. And it was the on-ramp to the highway. There was no way not to go that way. No one ever did anything about it. Eventually we left. People who live there now say cars are getting broken into in the nicest neighborhoods all the time. Whatever it is, like that, it's just not safe. So they're leaving. And I wonder, does the point come when they don't have any tax revenue left? If they drive out everybody who's looking for, not having someone solicit sex while they're waiting in line to get on the freeway, do they worry about what eventually happens to their tax base? Well, you know what's interesting, and it's so ironic when you think about the fact that it's the progressive left who are in charge, is that the very richest people who generate most of the income actually can insulate themselves from all of this. They live in the fanciest parts of town where you don't see those problems so severely. They can have private arrangements, keep them out of the terribly failing public schools. They in some cases have private security. They whisk through in their limos, and they don't necessarily have to encounter it. If you use public transportation in San Francisco, you see this every single day all around you. But the people who actually are, the tech millionaires and billionaires and so on, they don't use the public transportation system. They don't encounter it face to face. So I think they'll stay, but still shovel money into the campaigns of people like this who are making the city worse, not better. Yeah. And it's not like it's good for those people that are living on the streets. I mean, I'm not sure who this is helping. In the meantime, I mean, speaking of cities very depressingly that are falling apart at the seams, let's come back to my New York here, where our own mayor, of all people, found time to chime in on the presidential prospect of Michael Bloomberg. Listen to this.
Would he be better than Donald Trump? Of course. Should he be the Democratic nominee? No. I mean, I just want to be really clear. This is a Democratic Party today that's getting more progressive, that wants to address the concerns of working people, that does not accept the status quo. There's no way in the world we should nominate a billionaire who epitomizes the status quo.
Oh my gosh, vacancies are up, crime on the subway up, rapes up, assaults up, all these things on his watch, and he's going to criticize the guy before him who numerically, by those stats, had a better record.
I know. God forbid the Democrats should actually choose someone as their candidate who knows how to run things, whether that's a private business or a city like New York, where whatever you think of him on certain issues, he, as you say, made specific improvements in certain key areas. I just think it shows how identity politics has totally overtaken the Democrats, where the first word that you hear in connection with Bloomberg is billionaire, billionaire, billionaire. Nothing to do with the record, nothing to do with his policies even. It's just he's a billionaire, that's his identity, therefore he's bad. It's really, really depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like Michael Bloomberg at all until I met de Blasio. And then all of a sudden he looked like the best mayor of all time. I mean, it's so depressing. All right, Steve Hilton, I'm thoroughly depressed, but I love you dearly. Thank you for coming on.
Great to see you.
Wrap up of an interview.